At this point, I think people understand that, yes, Slick is a person that did really fucked up things. But there was another part of this conversation that was about what level of involvement Mizkif had and what level of involvement Maya had with respect to, covering up and defending Slick. One of the components that did not necessarily make sense was what Mitch Jones's take was on the matter itself, because he's the one who took this information, making very serious accusations that like Mizkif deliberately sent Maya over to Adriana's house saying, "You are Maya Higa." Like Mizkif said, "You are Maya Higa." And two of the people that were involved in this, two of the people that were involved in the testimony that offered corroborating evidence to Maya going there to deliberately cover it up were, Mitch Jones himself, who also said conflicting statements over and over again, and this other dude named Barry, who, from what I understand, is not a very nice person. Okay, I think everyone involved in this has some degree of shittiness, with the exception of the victim herself. What does Barry being a not very nice person have to do with it? Do you want me to go over what some of the new things I found out, or some of the things I found out that like make him a terrible character witness or a terrible witness in general? No, I don't want to do that. I don't even want to touch that. I'll just say it like this. I don't even want to fucking touch any of that. That's why I only was talking about, Kyle and Adriana instead. Just know that this man has been banned from the platform permanently and has been banned for a very, very long time. So this, in and of itself, like what Kyle had said on the stream, does not contradict what Maya is saying either. Really, I mean, Kyle could have, and Adriana could have interpreted Maya's presence at Adriana's house as an intimidating component, as a coercive component. And that is a completely valid thing to say. I don't give a fuck if Kyle was like making jokes about the events that took place. I don't give a fuck about all the stuff that you guys are saying in the chat, because what was still unacceptable in that moment, which Maya recognizes. So you guys are literally defending something that Maya herself is not defending, which is that there is still a coercive element there, given that it's Maya that went there. Now, I've said this already. I have a bias towards Maya, and I do think that she's a good person overall, but good people can do bad things sometimes in the heat of the moment without even realizing that they're doing bad things. This is a fact that she herself has recognized as well and has apologized for, and has been getting absolutely destroyed on the internet over in the most like sexist and fucked up ways possible, by the way. People being like, well, Maya had a slow phase in college, so we already knew she was not like a good person or whatever. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Let's be real. This has turned into a Mizkif versus CO thing. Most people agree bad things were done, but the question is, were they done intentionally or not? Yes. The final component of this conversation was whether Mizkif deliberately sent Maya over there, knowing full well that this was sexual assault, and wanted to cover it up, okay, because it was his friend. And Mizkif, let's be real, especially in the conversations that were leaked in the conversation between Trainwrecks and XQC and everyone else, does look like he's still like fully defending Slick. But at that point, he still doesn't fully comprehend, because this is before Adriana's testimony live, that he doesn't fully comprehend what the fuck's going on and is trying to defend his friend. His friend is a creeper. His friend is a sexual assaulter. We all know that now. I knew that he was creepy even before that because of the twit longer that I had read. So his defense of Slick is unacceptable. I'm just giving you what his motivations might be, but it's still unacceptable, completely unacceptable, especially at that point where like they're saying Adriana's going to come out about sexual assault. What are you doing? For me personally, like seeing Maya's involvement in this, regardless of whether or not she was completely oblivious to whether she was engaging in this coercive action or whether she didn't think it was actually sexual assault, because at the time people were completely confused as to what was going on and went over there. It doesn't matter. It's still she still played a role in being coercive. Okay, she did, and that was disappointing and that was bad. But people make mistakes. People do wrong things, okay? All the time. And sometimes the gravity of the situation, especially when it's something as severe as sexual assault, is going to be a really, really, really fucked up thing. I think a lot of us are also working with like information that we have now and attributing it to what the level of involvement and information they had back then when the events were unfolding. I think that's part of the reason why Kyle even said, I think Maya is genuinely a nice person, but I think she just made a mistake in that moment trying to shield her friend. Do you understand? That's what I was saying about Kyle as well, because this is very close to my analysis of the situation too. I think Maya is a nice person. I am biased, and she has not even dodged the responsibility. She has taken accountability for her actions and has described the circumstances at play, but still has taken accountability for her actions. So if you guys all like hate Kyle now or say Kyle can't be trusted or whatever, and I don't know the additional information that has come out about Kyle or whatever, I don't know. Regardless of whatever information has come out about him, this analysis, I think, is decent, is true. So here is Maya's final statement on the matter. I'm going to read it. It came out earlier this morning. She said, I would like to first respond to the recorded call from last week that was aired on stream. I was not offered the opportunity to represent myself on that call, and thus what I said and my intentions on that day in question were misrepresented. I have already spoken my truth on stream, but in light of the false allegations brought upon me, I feel the need to speak it again on it again. I do not want to engage in nuke wars. I do not want to play games. I will only speak my own intentions and actions that day. I did not go to the house that day with the intention of manipulating Adriana's story. I did not cover up sexual assault. This would not be possible, as even Adriana did not consider the incident to be sexual assault until this past Monday. As she said on her stream, Adriana's feelings regarding the situation have rightfully changed that day, and I support her. On that day, I was only able to operate off the information that was given to me by Adriana and eyewitnesses at that time. Now, this is the part that is important. What Kyle and Adriana can attest to is whether or not they consider it, whether or not they told Maya again that no, it was sexual assault. We think it was sexual assault. Or why did Maya tell Adriana to make definitive statements if Adriana said she was confused on whether it happened or not? I think that is the fucked up part of this conversation. If you don't think it's sexual assault, that is what I'm saying. I think like Maya's presence in that situation was coercive ultimately because she should not have been there while the twit longer was being written. I think that is the most valid thing you can say, okay? The most valid and true thing you can say about this is that she should not have been there while the twit longer was being written. Okay? But as someone who herself has been victim of sexual assault, I think in that moment, what she was trying to specify, one, because I can't speak to her motivations personally, was because she was not clear on what had happened and probably was motivated by defending her friend, which is wrong. That is the wrong part of this. That is fucked up. If she had handled this with the delicacy of the situation, the delicate nature of the situation, if she handled this appropriately, she would not have gone over there at all. Or even if she did, she would not have said, oh, well, you're saying it's not like sexual assault, so I guess it's not sexual assault. Even in that situation, when a victim herself is saying it's not sexual assault, you can't be motivated in any meaningful capacity to make it seem like that. Because a lot of people in situations like this, a lot of victims in situations like this are looking for any out, okay? Because they are already well aware of the social pressures that are going to be compounding, that are going to be coming down on top of them when they come out with a traumatic event, okay? When they come out with their own personal experience in the aftermath of a traumatic event. So for that reason, okay, anyone who especially has their own personal experience with this sort of thing is completely aware of this, or should have been completely aware of this, okay? Even if they were personally misguided. That's the main fuck up on Maya's behalf here. Whether she was oblivious to it being assault or not, she should have handled it with more care. And a lot of people who are obviously like shitting on her on the internet, like they don't give a fuck. Like they themselves would not have been doing the right thing, but it doesn't matter. This is a good opportunity for everyone to understand how to deal with situations like this. The information was that there was no rape or sexual assault, but that CrazySlick had made Adriana uncomfortable. I supported Adriana in sharing this. I did ask about her experience, and I did go there with the intention of understanding the truth of the incident that occurred at the party in January of 2020. At the time, I thought this was the right thing to do. I fully understand that it was wrong, given my position, to insert myself into that situation. I apologize for the power dynamic and the harm I might have caused. It was irresponsible of me to not remove myself from the situation, and I take full accountability for making this mistake. I am deeply disappointed in my judgment and choices, and I am deeply sorry to Adrianah for my involvement. I never intended for my status to influence Adrianah. I would never knowingly protect the predator, and I would never threaten or discourage a victim from speaking out about their experiences. I absolutely condemn the actions of CrazySlick. I have privately apologized to Adrianah and will publicly apologize again. I'm truly sorry for Adrianah's experience with CrazySlick and for the experiences of other women who have shared their stories. I'm sorry, and I feel horrible for being part of the reason that Adrianah has experienced everything that she has in the past year. I'm sorry that this has become a nauseating he said, she said battle. I've remained in this industry because I've always seen streaming as a means to an end, the end being a powerful platform for conservation education. For those of you who are still willing to support my platform, thank you. For those of you unwilling, I understand. I'm stepping away from my online platforms indefinitely. I'm sorry. Thank you all for reading. People that don't know, two big deals. Maya has not spoken to the convo with Mitch and Miz. She's avoiding it for a reason. Also, Barry said this won't be good. She said this won't be good for your career. Why won't she address this? I wonder why she's avoiding those two contentious things. Because I'll tell you why. Okay, if that is true, which I have no reason to believe it's not, even though it's Barry saying it, but still. The reason why she's probably not addressing it is because she understands how it looks. Because in that circumstance, depending on whether the victim feels like it was sexual assault or not, changes the dynamic of what you are saying. Okay? It changes it entirely. It's like saying, oh, when you come out with this, it's going to be bad. That's a terrible statement. That's a threat. Depending on what the context and the nuance is in that situation, it's either a vicious threat or something you should have never said in general, even if you were being like, yeah, I mean, this is, you know, people are going to yell at you. Damn, believing Barry over your friend? No, okay, listen. This corresponds to, and Adrianah might change how she feels, or maybe I misunderstood, but this actually does make sense given the context of the situation and given what Kyle has said and given what Adrianah has said. Okay? This makes sense. Now it's up to Adrianah to accept it or not. Okay? You hitched your wagon on the wrong side. Barry and Kyle have been proven to be manipulative liars. I have hitched my wagon to no side. There is no sides in this story. The only thing I care about is that Adrianah came out with her story, and now a person who has creeped on a bunch of different people is at least removed from said community. Okay? Did Adrianah actually say she didn't think it was assault until recently, not defending anyone, just pointing that out? Up until that moment, I don't know what the event, I don't know what Adrianah had said leading up to that. What I do know is what she has said now. Okay? And that's what matters. You understand? What matters is what she said this past week. If we're looking at the events that took place back then, when Novaru came out with someone else's story, okay, that has a different set of standards when you're analyzing it. What matters is what she is saying now. If we're looking at like intent, action, reaction now, I think everyone agrees Slick has done up things and he's gone. He should not have been defended. At the time when this event took place, the perfect circumstance would have been Maya not going there at all and Adrianah coming out in whichever way she wanted to. She could have still came out with the same statement, but probably not, okay? But it would have been on her own volition. Do you understand that? If she had written this exact same twit longer back then and then came out a year later and said, I was wrong on that twit longer, this is actually what happened, people would not be yelling at Maya. I don't even think they would be yelling at Mizkif, as a matter of fact. They probably still would be yelling at Mizkif because he still sheltered someone. And people would say, how long did you know? And that's an understandable question to pose, right? But the main problem here is that she was there. Whether it was because they wanted to figure out you know, what Slick had done and whether it was rape, sexual assault or sexual harassment or just like overall creepy behavior, just so they could figure out like if it's acceptable to kick Crazy Slick out or not, whether it was for that reason or because they wanted to legitimately coerce the witness in this situation and the victim in this situation to like not coming out about sexual assault, it's still wrong. Even if you had the right intentions, the actions itself were still wrong. They should not have been in that room when the Twitch longer was being written. Even if Kyle and his girlfriend deleted hundreds of tweets the day of the call, and I do agree with like Mitch and Barry not being trustworthy, which I have also mentioned that. I think Mitch showed that. Like, think about it this way. Mitch Jones personally is supposed to be the hero in this story, right? He's friends with Adriana. He goes to Train. He tells Train, like, I feel kind of fucked up about this situation that took place. And then because of his inconsistent testimony, he literally comes out looking like one of the worst people involved in it because he's just in it for himself. Like, that's what he comes across as, no matter what. So obviously, like, I understand that. But that doesn't change the dynamic. That doesn't change what ended up happening. My point is, from the most charitable to the least charitable interpretation of events that took place, looking at it from Maya's perspective, what she did was still wrong, and she recognizes that and is apologizing both to the victim personally and, you know, just publicly as well. Kyle, that witnessed Adriana getting assaulted, joking about it the day after and deleted tweets.
Jokes to her.
This stuff is, I don't agree with this either, by the way. Like this comes across as like grasping at straws to me. Like this does seem grasping at straws. It seems like you're doing the thing that, like, you know, victims don't appreciate and makes it harder for other victims to come out.